Hey, what's up guys? This is the Haas USMC and I'm here where America started. Hey, what's up guys? Haas USMC here, and today I wanted to do a video about keeping your guns loaded or unloaded and what I think about conditions and all that. So one of the things that I get a lot is why do you keep that gun loaded? You know, not even the military keeps their firearms loaded until they leave the wire and blah blah blah. Okay, so first of all, I'm not in the military. Okay, so I'm a civilian. I was previously in the military. I know how they do it. You don't have to tell me. But the world in which I operate is not a military world. I don't have a base of Marines surrounding me, protecting me while I sleep. That would be nice, and if that was the case, I would be possibly inclined to have an unloaded firearm with me during that time. Probably not, but I would be a lot more likely to have one if I had a base of Marines surrounding me. So since that's the case, since we're civilians and we don't have a platoon of Marines around us at all times protecting us, then we should probably have loaded firearms to protect ourselves, right? So let's talk about this for a second. I just watched a video a while back from a police officer who was giving instruction on how to keep your firearms loaded, and you know, he said it's not his, you know, the whole thing like you know, oh, you can do whatever you want, but this is how I do it. All right, well, the way you do it is stupid. Okay, so I'm gonna fix your problems. Okay, so first of all, part of the problem with a lot of these cops is they work for these departments that have these stupid silly rules, and they think that just because the department wants them to do it that way, that's the right way. Well, I have news for you. It's not always what the government chooses for you to do is not always right. Okay? So what he was saying is that he keeps his ARs, he racks them, you know, so that they're ready to fire. He switches them on to fire, pulls the trigger, then he inserts a magazine, and he leaves it like this, and in the firing position, and then racks around in when he wants to charge the weapon and engage to prepare it to be used. Now I've got a couple problems with this. Okay, the first one being that there's, if anything, there's nothing that's unsafe or difficult. What's easier to do, this, or is it easier to do this? What's quieter? What's less likely to draw attention to yourself? This or racking around in? That's number one, okay? Number two, there's nothing unsafe about this, all right? There's nothing unsafe about walking around. You have your safety on, you have your finger straight off the trigger, you're not pointing it at anyone. As long as you're following the safety rules, there should be no problem with using a safety. I don't understand why people have a problem with that. Now, this is a SCAR. This is a very similar firearm to an AR-15 in the sense that the controls are very similar. That means that in a situation where you're under high stress, where you may be using a different firearm than you're not used to. Let's say this is your home gun and you have to use an AR for your duty gun. Okay, so let's say you have your SCAR, and then you go to you have your weapon on fire like you do like you do, and you pull that trigger in the safe direction. Okay, just like an AR, you can't put it back on safe, and then you put your mag in and everything, right? So then you grab up your rifle because the aliens are invading. Okay, and you get ready to go run outside, and this is the first thing you do, and you go to rack it. Now what that's done is it's created a training scar, because now you're going to rack it. Every time you pick up a gun, you're going to rack it, and it's, oh my gosh, I don't know if it's loaded, let me rack it. I personally believe that keeping a firearm unchambered that you are planning on using for a defensive purpose is silly, it's stupid, it's irresponsible, and it's not tactically sound. And anyone who teaches that is ignorant of what what real tactics are. You know, what's is this when you pick up your rifle and this is the first sound that you make when you're running across a bad guy, then then they know right where you are. They're gonna come and look at you and see what's going on. That's not smart. There's no reason why you can't do this. It's been proven safe to use the safe. This guy went on to talk about the Israeli style pistol carry, carrying a pistol without a round in the chamber, and how you can pull it and rack it, or it's so fast. And while that may be true, what happens when one of your hands is injured and you haven't trained to use your firearm with one hand? What happens if something's going on where you really need that pistol to be charged? What happens then? And he was saying all this silly, like, oh, what if I'm running around the house like this and somebody pulls my gun away from me, and then I have just a second to pull out my backup gun. I could pull out my backup gun so quick. If you're running around the house with a firearm and the chamber's unloaded, looking for bad guys, then you're one of the stupidest people that I've ever met in my life. An unloaded gun does you no good, and a gun that has no round in the chamber is unloaded. That's all I got to say about that. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and relax with a nice glass of champagne. Catch you next time.